Here we go, episode 87 uploaded, coming at you here as we make our way into the final weekend of action for the month of May, and a really great day at Churchill Downs. I kind of scoured all of the cards, as you probably do as well, right? Taking a look at where there are graded stakes, good sized fields, and more importantly, a circuit that I feel like I understand and I'm comfortable with, right? So I'm going to focus in on just two tracks here over the course of the weekend. Of course, everything happening at Churchill Downs for Stephen Foster Preview Day. That is where I think the action is and all the money. So, with that being said, we've talked about these races throughout the week. We have two more to cover today. We're going to do two of the turf races, and then we'll kind of recap what we're doing through the last 5 races on the card. We'll put it all together with a late pick 5 ticket at Churchill Downs on Saturday. Giving it to you now, so you have some time to take a look at it, decide if you want to follow me or fade me, or maybe you like certain points and you're like, okay, I like what he's doing in that race, don't like that. Hey, customize. Do whatever you want. It's all good. I might even change my mind on Saturday, but I'm pretty locked in. I doubt I'll change my mind unless scratches occur. Let's take a look at what's happening. Grade 3 Arlington Stakes. That's on the turf course. Yeah. And that is going to be race number 9 on the card. You see a good sized field of 9 runners in here. The one to beat definitely is to the outside, and Brilliant Birdie. And the 8, Mercante, has some speed. Should have a little bit of company out there with Gigante, so the 3 and the 8 are the pace, and they should have some company. And I think it sets it up beautifully for a runner that I think is like developing, right? It's the 2, Cameo Performance for Brendan Walsh. Great turf pedigree. Love the Oscar Performance offspring on the turf. It's third off the layoff. We often talk about how the third race off the layoff is kind of peak fitness, especially when you're talking about a closer, in my opinion. Also a great pace setup. I already mentioned to you that there are at least 2 speed horses, and there might even be 3. I wouldn't be surprised if the 4, Hershey, tries to get out there and go with, and the 6, Call Protection, has some pace. Silent Heart has tactical speed. So there are some runners in there that could push it just enough, and I like the runner with this value. 6-1 morning line, I believe, will be an overlay with Ben Curtis. He's still a young rider. He's really made some really impressive performances, but he's not regarded across the board yet. So he'll probably float up from that 6-1 to 8-1, maybe even 9-1 on Cameo Performance. That is going to be race number 9 on Saturday, the Grade 3 Arlington Stakes at 1 mile and a 16th on the turf course. Okay, that is one turf race. Take a look at the other one. They're going to wrap the card up on Saturday with race number 11. That'll be the Grade 3 Regret Stakes, mile and an 1/8 on the turf. 3-year-olds in here. Phyllis. Hello, ladies. Getting set for this race. 11 runners comprise the field. This is a really good looking field of runners. And it's just all about trying to decide which one of these 3-year-old fillies, right, is going in the right direction at the right time. For us, in this race, we feel like, okay, there's some pace in here. And it's Lush Lips, the 7, of course. A Classic Q, the 5, has some speed. Golden Sunshine might want to try to push out there as well. The 4, Fixin' the Bee with Johnny V, I think also could be forwardly placed. I just need 1 or 2 runners to kind of get involved and mix it up in the Regret. And we're going 1 mile and an 1/8 on the turf course. I like Fion. Fion is the 8 in here. 4-1 morning line. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if she got bet a little bit, maybe 5-2. She should like more distance, right? Stretching out. She's been going 1 mile and a 16th. Went a mile last time out. Now going 1 mile and an 1/8. I think that suits her better. There's a good pace setup. I told you about the speed of Classic Q and Lush Lips, and I expect there to maybe be another horse to push it. Plus, you get Florent Giroux and Brad Cox. It's a top-notch jockey trainer combo. We won't get tremendous value on Fion in the Regret, but it's the last race of the day, and hopefully we're alive and everything. And you just need your short price runner to do what it is that they do and come through. Pretty simple, right? So now we're going to kind of put it all together. We've been talking about this Stephen Foster Preview Day the last 3 days. And now This is what our pick 5 play looks like. Late pick 5 on Saturday. The rain is going to stop here on Friday early in the afternoon in Louisville, Kentucky. There might be a little bit of sprinkling, a little spit in the rain coming up on Saturday morning, but not enough to make it an off track by the time we get to races 7 and beyond. Turf course might have a little give to it still, but I don't think the track's going to be affected. We should be back to a fast track by race 7. So Audubon's on the turf. We go with the 4 and the 7. We like the 4. That's Macero. The 4 is Macero with Corey Lannery. So we put the asterisk next to our top pick. And then in the Shawnee, and that's going to be the second leg of the event. They're going a mile and a 16th on the main track. That's where I get my big price. The 8 in Just My Heels is our top pick there, and 20-1 on the morning line there. Then we go to the Arlington. We just talked to you about these runners. We know that the 9, Brilliant Birdie, is one to beat. Mercante, the 8, is some speed. It could get away from the field, but we really like Cameo Performance, the 2. 6-1 morning line, that's our top pick there with the asterisk right next to it. Then we go to, I guess, the big feature, right? The Blame Stakes. Kentucky Derby winner Mystic Dan makes his return to Churchill Downs. He gets a better setup in this race than he did in his last race at Oaklawn Park, but I still don't think it's enough for him. So I'm going to play against Mystic Dan. And I'm going to go with 2 runners in here. The 3, Antiquarian, is a runner that I think has the versatility and the early tactical speed to be dangerous with Johnny V in the irons. And then the 6, Hall of Fame, is a closer that just does nothing but gobble up ground. Now, we've got some closers in the race that are impressive, so Hall of Fame is going to be up against it. But I like this runner, and I like the 8-1 value, and I like Jose Ortiz in the irons closing from off the pace. Then we get to the final race. It's the Regret. And we just talked about the fact that we really like the short-priced runner, the 8 Fion. But there's also some pace in there, and sometimes you never know if a speed horse gets away. Lush Lips, the 7 for Brendan Walsh, I think is very intriguing. So we use 2 runners there. So 2 by 2 by 3 by 2 by 2. 2 by 2 by 3 by 2 by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48. There's your $1 play on the late pick 5 at Churchill on Saturday for Stephen Foster Preview Day. I think it's going to be a great card of racing. And, you know, I pared that ticket down. You could probably go a lot deeper, but I don't like to do that. I like to keep it as simple as possible. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we don't want to break the bankroll when it doesn't work out. So I told you how I'm just kind of focused in on 2 tracks this weekend. There's racing, across the country, but I only focused in on 2 tracks that I actually liked. Love the Churchill card on Saturday. Love the final race on the card Friday at Santa Anita. So one thing I love about Southern California racing, they do consistently. The last race on the card, about 90% of the time, is on the turf. I just love it. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for it. Let's take a look at what we're going to work with here. Race number 9 on the turf, going a mile. And, it's a maiden event. And Tavalara, this is a really interesting runner. See, what I like about runners like this is that they're trying to figure out the running style, right? So in the very first race, going a mile on the turf course at Santa Anita, they sit back and they try to close. Not quite good enough, but it's the debut, so you're going to cut them some slack, right? Then you go to the second start. In March, they're going a mile on the turf at Santa Anita, right? They drop from 75,000 to 50,000. And then they try to be a bit more tactical, and they're sitting just off the pace. Well, there was lone speed that day, so they couldn't do anything with that horse on the front end. The horse just galloped around there, and Tavalara couldn't do anything about it. So then they decide to kind of stay at that level with a maiden 50 and now give her a little bit more ground to work with, going a mile and an eighth. Instead, she's there on the front end. And it wasn't bad. She just got tired because she had some company. Now I think after those 3 starts, I think that they understand this Carla Gaines runner a little bit better. Ricardo Gonzalez is a really nice rider, but he is an assertive rider. So I'm expecting Tavalara to be in the first flight, which is great because there's really not a lot of speed. There's the inside horse, the number 1 horse for Mark Glatt, that's a sprinter stretching out. That horse has some speed. And then the 7, inner turf or whatever the heck her name is, who has some route speed. And then the 9 in here is the deep, deep closer. The 8 splits the difference. That's why I like her. She's not going to set the pace, and she's not going to have a bunch of work to do turning for home. She's going to be sitting right there, tracking the speed. And I think she gets the jump on the 9, who's a deep closer. And then the best part about it, value. I love the value. 8-1 on the morning line. I'm trying to think if we'll get bet here. I don't think we will, because the favorite, we probably will, because the favorite's one of those career maidens. The 9 horse is like 0 for 13 and closes but never quite gets there, so it's really hard to play a horse like that. So I would expect bettors will kind of leave that horse alone. They will gravitate to the 7 horse who has that route speed, and they'll probably go to the sprinter to the inside stretching out. So I think we're going to retain our value. We might come down 6-1, right? But I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that. So that's our play of the day. Race number 9 from Santa Anita. The pick is number 8, Tavalara, and we should get 6-1. I've already put $20 on that. Hopefully it works out, and if it does, then we're golden for the weekend. Our last plays of the day have not worked out, but I'm okay with it. Like, we got a good ride the other day, it just didn't work out. Got a bad ride earlier in the week. Whatever. That just happens. Can't do anything about that. So we'll just keep it pushing. We know that we know what we're doing. We know that we know what we're talking about. Just because you don't win doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing. And just because you get away with something, that don't make it right. Those are rules in life. Take it with you in your journey. All right, that's going to do it for us here on episode 87 of Horse Race Bets. In the meantime, in between time, and until next time, I'm Ken Rudulph. We'll see you. Good luck and enjoy. Whatever you're into, have fun this weekend.